Good morning and welcome to the Wright County Fair meeting of August 1st. Wright County Fair? You know where I've been for the last 5 days. The Wright County Board meeting August 1st. I didn't even realize that. 2017. Anyway, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
See, at least we pay attention, Charlie, you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, wow. That's,
you know, the fair board's going to be upset taking over their stuff.
I know.
Oh, they're the wrong place this morning. Yeah.
That's pretty good. All righty, but this is just a Wright County Board meeting, so we'll reserve the other one for now. So. All right, the minutes from August 25th. Has everyone had a chance to look at them? If there's any corrections at all?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Potter to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Review and approve of the agenda for today.
I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda.
Well, second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Delight. And further discussion? Lee, anything else? No?
No, sir.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda for today.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome to approve the consent agenda. Anything further on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have 9:02 and Sean Riley, Planning and Zoning Administrator. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, County Board. This item has been scheduled as a regular item. We had a rezoning request and formal findings for denial and a recommendation by the Planning Commission for a denial. So we schedule these as regular items in case there are questions, and I can describe the situation if need be. Greg composed the findings, so he's here also if there are questions about
I
the
think
findings.
I think it would be good, Sean, if you did go over it a little bit, just because I think that it wasn't a unanimous vote at the Planning Commission, and I think it shows a need maybe to maybe relook at some of the lines that got drawn, you know, because you can contrast where this property was to some other ones that, like, why is this one able to be zoned ag-res and not here? And that was, you know, it's just, it literally is where the line got drawn, you know, so.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what our plan is, you know.
Right, yeah, Mr. Chair, County Board, so I'll describe the item briefly. The request was for a rezoning to ag residential. The current zoning is agriculture. We had a series of meetings. The Planning Commission site inspected the property. Our formal input for the township was a denial because of the concern with the land use plan. This property on one side of the road, it's agriculture. On the other side of the road, it's AR, ag residential. So there was a thorough discussion by our Planning Commission when you get in this type of dynamics of, I mean, we have to have the line somewhere, and the township thoroughly discussed at the land use plan, and this is where we ended up with our division. So there was discussion at the Planning Commission meetings. Is it appropriate at this time? Are there development pressures in this area? Did they feel comfortable maybe going against the land use plan because of a proximity to the city and what was across the road? We provided details that none of that had been rezoned across the road. It is in the land use plan, but nothing had been rezoned yet. There was a number of lot of records. So we had a pretty good debate about the land use plan in general and how it pertained to this area. We ended up in a situation where the Planning Commission, the majority of the Planning Commission, directed Greg to do findings for a denial, mainly based on not being consistent with the land use plan, protection of agricultural elements, whether it was tilled or not, and then to support the township had said. So that's what broke out in this case, even though there was a dynamic of being close to other things in the land use plan.
Right, and then, thank you, Sean. And then the other thing too, the same time that this one came up, there was another one in Marysville Township, also a Buffalo address, but Marysville Township, of basically all farmland.
Right.
But it's in the plan, and if preserving ag land is our thing, well then, that one we approve because it's in the plan and, you know, whatever, and there's other reasons too, of course, like Greg said, it's not, we could have denied that, I guess, as well. But this particular property was just so well suited for ag res. It's mostly wooded. There's some lowland out there that makes it unusable for ag, and I think, Sean, you could tell me, but it's about, out of this 40 acres, it was about 5 or 7 acres of hay ground, kind of. It's not.
Yeah, probably 8, 9.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not a heavy ag property, and that's what we really, you know, well, some of us.
The property already had that county ditch and the wetland, so we also discussed there's more to agriculture than productive farmland. And with the land use plan, you got to keep in mind some of those areas that are in the plan. I mean, the plan is pretty old. It dates back many decades.
Yeah.
So there are parcels in it that got put in there a long time ago, and maybe looking back on it, it's not appropriate for rezoning, but they're in the plan. And then there's other pieces that have been tightly looked at each time we update it, and they're not in the plan, so.
Mr. Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sean, my question would be, how often do we look at or update this land use plan? This says 2007. When was the last time prior to that?
Right.
And what's a reasonable amount of time before you revisit this?
Mr. Chair, County Board, so that's a good question. Last time we broke the county into quadrants, actually thirds. We have 3 land use plans, and we did them over a series of years, dating back now, 8 to 10 years ago.
This is about 10 years. For
We
this.
don't necessarily
10 years
have.
in one day.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have a fixed time frame we do it. Our practice before was to react to the townships themselves. We had one big plan, and Silver Creek might come to us and say, we want a little bit more commercial. We want to reevaluate our AR, our residential large lot. So some degree, we would react to specific township request and update the working land use plan to go back and do an entire land use plan again. All of it, the narrative, the demographics, all the variables.
Sean, I'm going to just follow up on what Commissioner Potter said, but would it, because we talked about this, I know I have anyway, but is it something to where not redoing the entire land use plan, but to go in and maybe look at it? I know a particular township, Silver Creek in particular, they couldn't have predicted the growth that they had, that the demand for commercial property up there, 8 or 10 years ago. I don't, maybe somebody did accurately, but I don't know if it would be possible. But so they're looking at this as well, saying, we'd like to go back and maybe re-look at the boundaries. Is it something without doing the entire plan to redo some of the lines, I guess, because that's really what we're talking about here?
Yeah, I think in theory it's possible to look at the actual plans in relation to narrative and the goals and what we're trying to preserve and allow for at the same time. Remember, you're always going to end up with a line.
Yep.
So right now somebody's not happy the line's there.
Yeah.
You move it out. Now that person feels the line's right next to them, and why that spot? And you involve the townships, you involve the cities, you involve the property owners.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Getting back to my question, what is a reasonable amount of time before you relook at these? Is it 10, 15, 20 years? Because, things change dramatically in the course of a decade.
Right.
And maybe this is fine right now, and it's just an isolated piece here and there, and maybe it needs to be changed, because the changing face of Wright County, especially in the last 20 years, probably precipitated this being done in 2007. But what's a reasonable amount of time? I don't know what other counties have done. Are it's 10, 20 years that they have, or is it just kind of out there whenever they feel like doing it?
So,
Mr. Chair, before Sean answers that, you know, one of the things he did talk about is that the townships, I mean, you know, we believe in property rights and all that sort of stuff, and the townships are there to control or to work within their communities, just like in a city.
To guide us.
And I would think that, you know, he had mentioned that they didn't do anything in the past until townships kind of had come in and started requesting things. You know, I think that's a good way to deal with it,
If that
too.
seems to be the answer, then I'm fine with
Yeah,
it, but
and
we've had some hints from the townships on more on the margins, you know, Silver Creek and commercial area. Buffalo discussed this property a little bit. I would say it's more conditions than a time frame
right.
that
okay.
calls up looking at a land use plan.
Fair enough.
2007, that period, we were probably reacting to the growth we were having up to it. You know, the things were going quick, and then we had a downturn.
Yeah.
And now things are coming back at us. So it's sort of a forward-looking thing, working with any townships or the townships. Do we need to look forward over the next 10, 15 years and see if we missed something or our current plans aren't reflecting?
Commissioner Houston.
I was going to say that one of the quadrants, or one of the thirds, was done in 2011, I think, and one in 2009. Is that correct? I was trying to remember from when
Correct,
we
yeah, I
last looked at
believe
this,
it's-
but, so they weren't actually all done at the
Weren't
same
adopted
time,
all at the
so
same time.
there's one that's 4 years newer, but,
Okay, so that's.
yeah,
Many of the concepts are the same, but there is,
right,
there was a spacing out.
yeah. It just took that long to get the study done or whatever.
But to the board here, I think maybe where this conversation may be a good place to start, it would be to have a workshop, you know, with the planning commission, and then also included in that, we had talked a little bit about the mini storage thing. So maybe between that,
or
we could have a
commercial.
workshop and discuss those two items, because there's such a demand for the mini storage facilities as
those
well,
two.
and it's really such low impact on ag land if you're on a county road, and especially when I don't think there would be a good spot on a gravel, but because they're such low impact, we thought there maybe should be an exception. But anyway,
And Mr. Chair, I
well, we
think.
better stay on
Right.
subject here
Yeah, I
today.
think we better stay on the subject, but I think that, you know, just to add that you would involve the townships in
Oh, sure.
something like that.
Yeah, and this again though, there's probably maybe even a majority of the townships that they're good, they're, where it's at.
Yep.
Right, if you approached a Woodland or Victor, they'd say.
They might say
The conditions have actually intensified on using our farmland, and we're good, we don't need a yard in the middle of the township.
Sure.
There might be another township that says, we're going to extend a road in this area someday, but it's not practical
yeah.
if things can't develop because of the land use plan.
But I think to have the conversation, and I think it would be worthwhile, so.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So basically, we're saying that these are more township-driven when it comes time to update the plan, more so than us.
In the past, when we do it on the margins, when we look at updating an entire plan, because it's 20 years old, the demographics have changed, then it's been us.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
I mean, the township boards are elected officials, and if the residents don't feel that their land use plan is being designed the way they would like it, they can always change their leadership. So, to me, having the townships giving us their suggestions and controlling their areas, I think is a good thing.
No, and that's accurate, but I think we have to kind of put it out to the townships that if they see a deficiency, if they see a need to change it.
Oh, absolutely.
to come.
I would think they would come to us.
Because I think, in talking with the Buffalo board on this, I don't think it was a unanimous decision at the board even. I think they were split, and I'm not 100% sure on that. But the majority of them went with denial based strictly on the land use plan. And it's not that they would have preferred to be able to do this, but it wasn't in there. They didn't feel they had the authority to do it.
And this part of Buffalo Township, that side of it was pretty much agriculture. So they're concerned that even though this piece is close, what about the piece east of that that's further away? Where would the new line be?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since this is an action item, I will make a motion to support the Planning Commission's recommendation for denial of the application by David Arotis. Is that how you pronounce that last name?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
And, okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Bitch. And I just want to say, I'm going to vote against it, just not to buck the Planning Commission, but just to voice my opinion that we need to have this looked at, and it needs to get changed, so it'll be a protest vote, whatever.
Well, again, it's up to the township.
Yep. I think.
Yep.
But we have to have, the venue though for them to express themselves, and that's right now.
Well, I would think,
we do.
I don't know, I would think that in the past they've come forward when they have.
Well, yeah, but when they came up with the land use plan, it kind of, now you're done. That was kind of the, am I wrong on that, Sean? That was kind of the thing, like, we're not gonna be doing these changes every other month. This is gonna be the plan.
Well, yeah, I
you
know, not every other month, but.
Yeah,
It's an involved process, yes.
yes. So, but I'm with you, though. I do think, whether it's like Commissioner Potter said, whether it's time that it happens, or because of conditions like Sean mentioned, I do think it's time or conditions that we do at least give townships a chance to relook at their lines. You know, it just bothers me that if protecting ag land was one of the things, then we have pure ag land going into ag res, and here an ideally suited lot that for ag res that will protect the environment down the road by having a little larger, you know, footprint, whatever. So anyway, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, next up, Mr. Robert Hevela.
Good morning, Fair Board. I mean, Commissioners. Fair Board. Boy, it's almost like Sean had a ditch matter on his agenda. Boy, the first item on my agenda is one of those housekeeping things that we have to do periodically, and that's to appoint a member on the Clearwater River Watershed Board. We did follow the prescribed steps outlined in 103, Minnesota Statute 103D.311, where we advertised for 2 weeks in the local newspapers and we used our website. At the close of that, we had one application, and I believe that's our current person, Catherine Johnsrud. Yep. So, Board, it'd be my recommendation that, since you only have one candidate, just to appoint Catherine.
I will make that motion,
I'll
Mr. Chair.
second it.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Delight, apparently she's doing a good job.
And she's
Nobody runs against her.
She's very active.
Mr. Chair, that was my question before. Anybody who has had to work with Kathy, is she doing a good job
Oh, yeah.
in the Citizens County? And if that's the case, I have no problem with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's an absolutely wonderful job.
Yep.
She's very detailed and brings
Yep.
a lot of information to those.
Yeah, does a lot of research, attends many seminars, and, yep.
Okay. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Bob. Next up,
Board, we had a meeting on July 29th. This was a ditch meeting for the purpose of talking about County Ditch 36 up by Clearwater. This is one of the first times that we had a drone flyover over that ditch system. We talked about the condition of the ditch, and we outlined the things that needed to be done.
Bob,
Yep.
you said the 26th? Why is this dated the 19th?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Klein, what's your question?
It was the 19th.
It was the
was the
19th. We
19th,
met on the
yeah.
19th.
You said the 26th,
Oh,
and this says July 19th.
Yes, Board, I'm sorry, the agenda item says 29th, the minutes say the 19th, I don't know why I said the 26th.
We have a wordsmith and a datesmith here now.
Board, the action item from that meeting was to instruct our ditch inspector, Mike Young, to get quotes to clean out the ditch on the northwest, the outlet side of it. And then we'll need to talk about what we need to do to review the other part of the ditch system. But you have the minutes. I don't, if you would like to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
You know,
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion and a second, but the meeting on July 19th, that was the one at Victor Town Hall regarding Lake Ann, right?
no, we had it at
Commissioner-
the highway department.
And remember, it was right after the.
Okay,
That was
We
the
had
one
a-
you were a little late for because you had another meeting, Mr. Chair.
We had the Transportation Committee of the Whole, and then we had the ditch meeting right after that.
And Mr. Chair, if you remember, it was Soil and Water who called that informational meeting to talk about the collaboration with ISG.
okay, so it was regarding Lake Ann, but not at,
Right.
it-
It has nothing to do with County Dish 10.
No, you had that meeting later.
so then
Yeah, we had that meeting in the afternoon.
Well, later, so it was later at the.
On ditch 10, that was just preliminary to discuss about the hearing, or the
Okay,
open meeting we were going to having about ditch 10.
that's fine. I have to be a little more descriptive in my,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, you were at another meeting and you were.
oh, you know what? Yes, I
The
was.
meeting prior to that.
I came from Litchfield that
Yes.
day, that's right, yep. I
Yeah,
was
you
at
had
the,
one-
I had the
one-
Crow.
yeah.
One watershed, one plan, got it. So I was late getting there, I remember now. Okay, but, all right. We'll go further. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, most, minutes are approved. All right,
And now another ditch matter coming forward.
uh-oh. Okay, Mr. Greg Kreiser, Assistant Wright County Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, here in your capacity as the Ditch Authority for County Ditch 10. Going back to Ditch 10, which we were just talking about, Commissioner Burrell, ISG, as part of their multi-purpose water management plan for CD10, has been evaluating it, the watershed for that drainage system, and they've determined that it appears as if the benefited property roles are not in line with the current land situation out there, and that we also need to look at acquiring buffers along the entire ditch system. So they're recommending, our engineers recommending, that we undertake a process to redetermine benefits for County Ditch 10, and pursuant to that recommendation, I have the resolution in front of you to accomplish that task.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 10.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, we'll give that to Commissioner Hewson for the second. Just on discussion, I've talked with a couple farmers and landowners out in the area, and I said if we're gonna get anything done from the water quality and on the drainage thing, we have to do this. It's
Yep.
just, so,
I agree.
Chair?
yes, good, Commissioner
Do
Deline.
we have an idea? Is this about 2 years away for the redetermination?
At least 2 years, I think, Commissioner Dolan. Bob, you have an update?
We've reached out to our viewers, Ron Ringquist, so he's aware of it. We think it'll be in the 2-year period.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, we've ignored it for, what, almost 100 years?
At least
2
50.
more years.
At least 50.
is gonna
We've
be
ignored
a
it for
big
50.
difference.
It was
And I do
constructed
wanna-
100 years
And I
ago.
want to take this a moment to commend Commissioner Burrell, because this is one of those things you campaigned on, is dealing with these ditches and the things that have been ignored, and he has definitely followed through, so anybody out there has got to say, look, he's doing what he said he was going to do. And these are truly part of our duty and responsibility here, and they need to be done. And there's going to be a cost associated with it, but that's just part of the job.
And thank you, Commissioner Potter, for that. And by taking the helm on this and getting things going, it's not always popular. There's always somebody that's on the other side, so. But I just told people, I said, we have a mandate by the law to do this. If you don't want us to follow the law, then abandon the ditch. and that doesn't seem real popular either, so.
I just want to remind people too that, because I was at the fair this last weekend and the conversation came up, and same thing I did when I first got on board. The county ditches are not alongside the roads.
No.
Right.
No, these
Yep.
are considered kind of a rural stormwater system.
Yep.
So that's, it really gets confusing because
Yeah, people think-
it's
yep,
the ditch
the
or
road
out
right
or
away
in the
is a
road,
ditch,
but
yep.
it's has nothing to do with the ditches alongside the road. It's
And-
a rural stormwater system.
And the county is, because it's called the county ditch, the county manages it, and the assessments are put back on the benefited landowners. And what redetermination of benefits will do, it will expand that base. Years ago, when they did the determination of benefits, it was based very narrowly on people that were in the lowland.
Yes.
Whereas now, people's water that drains
The
in there.
watershed. It looks at the whole
It will look at the whole watershed.
Said, Mr. Chair, that was the eye-opener when the people on the hill weren't charged, only the people in the lowland were charged. They're going, okay, the water from the hill is running down to the lowland, so how's it getting there?
There is, and you'll hear about it on both ways, but now, when they do the redetermination of benefits, the people that are closer to the ditch, that are in the lower land, will be benefited will be billed at a higher rate, but I think there goes A, B, C, and D. So the people that are on the higher land will pay less, and I've had conversation with people saying down here that they should pay at least as much or more. But then I said, I hear from the other side that when they bought their land, they bought highland. Their great-grandfathers bought highland and paid a lot of money for it, and you bought that lowland for 10 cents on the dollar or whatever, and now you expect us to pay for you draining it. So, like I said, no matter which side you're on, there's which viewpoint you look at it from. But I just think, I go back to what I think it was Kurt Dieter, he's a drainage attorney that we consult with. And no, it wasn't Kurt. It was one of the people that do the viewing. And he said if everybody's just a little bit upset, he said he feels he did a good job because
For the viewing, yeah.
Because if somebody feels they really got a good deal and somebody else, then he said they didn't do a good job. So he said if everybody's upset, they.
Mr. Chair, I take the same attitude with the gas tax, how they split that out, metro versus rural. Neither side was happy of that, so it must have been about as fair as you can get.
Okay,
And,
all right.
and Mr. Chair,
Go ahead,
this,
Commissioner Houston.
I mean, they were created, so we had land for farming and more land, so that definitely benefits any landowners if they want dry land, so.
Okay, further discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Mr. Chair?
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
Aye.
Oh, it's a roll call.
It's a resolution.
You know what, let's start with Chris on this one, I have it ordered here.
Jumping the gun, Mr. Commissioner Potter.
Aye.
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 Ooh, aye.
Yeah, here, I tell you, you're going to change your vote this time.
He just has to be difficult.
Yeah, he does.
One of these days, he's going to go the opposite direction.
We have a system here, don't mess with it.
Only clockwise, huh?
Next year it's my turn. I'm going to mess with it. We'll go alphabetical one way and then alphabetical in reverse, and
Okay.
we'll challenge it,
We're all gonna be
Charlie.
thinking on our toes.
The time, 9:30 for the public hearing.
Okay, 9:30, or we're just
Not
about,
quite there. Not quite
okay.
there.
Ahead.
We can do a committee, whatever.
Bob, you could talk for just a little bit more here, the way it looks, so.
Tell us a
Okay,
story.
do we want to do,
Committee.
you want to do one of the committee of the whole minutes or personnel? Which would take the least time?
How many minutes?
Infotech or personnel, Mark? You probably know.
Maybe personnel.
Yeah, protect. I can talk very little, so that's no problem.
Okay, let's,
Personnel should be quick, though.
okay, let's do,
Okay.
Commissioner Houston, do
All right.
the personnel minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Personnel Committee met on July 26, 2017. Members present, Delight Newsom, Bell Kelly, others present, Anselman, Athman, Haggerty, Tagaro, Hawkins, Riley, and Stevens. The first item was a discussion of lateral hiring of deputy above 12%. Athman provided a background on the candidate. This person has 6 years of experience in a large metro police force. He would like to make a similar wage as his current employment. The request was for a starting wage of $28.91, which is less than the candidate is currently making. Hewsome raised the question of leapfrogging of current employees. Hagerty stated this request would place the candidate similarly to employees with similar years of experience. Hagerty said that candidate has received specialized training in mental health and community policing that would be an asset to his office. The recommendation was to approve that request to hire at $28.91. The second item was the compost facility staffing. After the July 12th committee meeting, Riley considered the possibility of a temporary employee. Stevens said the program with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training will be ending on September 1st, and after this program ends, he would like to have additional temporary help for the busy season. Kelly said a temporary employee would be limited to 67 working days, and to clarify that, whether it's 3 hours or 1 hour or 8 hours, that's considered 1 day. So the recommendation was to authorize temporary employee at compost facility after September 1st. The third item was a developer position, and Tagaro noted that Infotech recommended hiring an additional developer as the next step to begin addressing the IT project backlog. The project portfolio analyst was recently approved and is posted. Tagaro would like to move forward with this request as soon as possible. Recommendation was to authorize recruitment for a developer. And the fourth item, business analyst position. Tagaro provided an update on the last recruitment for a business analyst. The position was offered to a candidate who declined the offer due to the compensation. The county will now start the recruitment process again for the fourth time. Tagaro would like to identify solutions to resolve this issue. Kelly suggested that an assessment of the market be conducted for business analysts in accordance with Policy 104.09, market rate adjustments, which is the attraction and retention. Delighton said a similar plan was proposed before and rejected by the union. The committee discussed the compensation of business analysts in relation to other positions within the IT department. Delighton asked if the new Human Resources Director assess the issue upon starting with the county. The recommendation was to examine external market for business analyst position. And the fifth item was to review performance review of Adam Tagaro, IT Director. Based on 5 performance evaluations, the committee recommends a rating of exceeds expectations. The sixth item was performance review of Virgil Hawkins, Highway Engineer. Based on 5 performance evaluations received, the committee recommends a rating that exceeds expectations. With that, Mr. Chair, I will move the minutes and the recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsome.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Potter. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes and recommendations are approved. Now we're back to our 9:30 public hearing. Proposed changes to the Health and Human Services fee schedule. Did we have anyone to speak toward that, or?
Gonna open it first.
Okay, well, we'll open that to the public. Lee, do we have anyone calling in?
No, Mr. Chair, I did not receive any comments either written or by telephone relative to this. Was posted as required in the official county newspaper more than 10 days. So we've met all the posting requirements, and the affidavit was included. Just in summary, this is kind of a remove and replace for our Health and Human Services fee schedule. Was discussed at 2 of the Ways and Means committees prior to it coming to the board for it to be approved. Following today's public hearing, they would like to implement it as of today, August 1st.
Okay, and this was heard before the Ways and Means Committee with Commissioner Hewsome and I, and actually came back a couple of times, I think, at least, to simplify it, clarify it, and whatever. But it really does make the fee schedule a lot simple, a lot more understandable. So I can see why the people would not have an objection to it. So, all right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
Didn't it go from 15 pages down
I think it was about 30 pages.
30 pages?
I mean, it was a lot. It was long.
So maybe I don't know what we are now, 3?
Well, we got it down
Just one?
You know, summarized it on one here, so.
Okay, yeah.
So I thought it was
It was a,
major improvement.
it was a major, you know, I may be inaccurate with the 30, but it
Well, I
seems like
know
that's.
there was a lot of them.
It seems, that's what sticks out in my mind, 28 or 30 pages, but,
I know there was a lot of them.
Well, it's easy to read, that's key.
Yeah.
I mean, you can read this really quick and
Yeah.
understand what you're paying.
exactly. And with the links, you know, taking them to, more information helps.
Yeah, the information on the website, it's a lot easier to work with.
Yep.
There's no one from the public here for the audience, the viewing audience. There's no one here for comment, and if there was, we certainly would hear them. So I'll entertain a motion.
Should we close the public
It would be
hearing?
good
Yes,
to
I'll
close the meeting and
we'll
open
take
a
and make a
public
motion, I
hearing.
guess, to close the public hearing, right?
You can just close it.
I would
I
call
just
for
close it.
comment 3 times,
Okay.
just to be consistent.
So anyone else from the public? Anyone else from the public to comment? No one else in the public? Okay, we're back up here. Public input has been closed, and we're back up here for action.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised fee schedule for Health and Human Services.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Light, and further discussion. I think we talked about this pretty good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is approved. Committee minutes for the Committee of the Whole that met on July 24th. Commissioner Delyden, could you take them?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee met on July 24th. All commissioners were present, along with Administrator Lee Kelly. Other presents were Sharon Ellison, Jim Odell, Olga Striga, what
You promoted Lee already, but
did I say? Administrator?
Administrator Kelly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
coordinator. We're okay with that.
No, that's all right. I've got 3 emails here that, no, we won't be promoting them. Olga Strovel, Adam Tagaro, and Tammy Vive. It was regarding just an overview for the whole board on the Infotech organizational design results. And Infotech, again, was a company that was hired to try and help get the IT department off center so that we can start moving forward and getting projects accomplished. IT is currently in a firefighter mode, and we cannot continue with that because we cannot do more with less without technology. So we need to get our IT department up, lifted up to be able to start doing things. Tagaro had a PowerPoint presentation and had some information regarding public administration organizations have an average of 7.5 overall satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10. Our IT department score is slightly lower at 6.7. So we're trying to get things improved. Infotech had looked at our different key pain points. Our backlog of projects was at 120. They have reduced it down to 80 at this point about, but I know there are other new projects that are coming forward. We currently have 301 applications, software applications that the county supports that are main applications. When they use some new software they have to look at the amount of actual applications on running on every computer, and again, this would mean Adobe Acrobat of different versions, Windows Paint, different versions. It ended up being over a couple thousand. So we're trying to getting everything back together on it, so that we're only working with one all the time. Infotech had recommended that in the future, in 2017, we'd have a total of 23. In 2018, we have 26. In 2019, 29. In 2020, 32. In 2021, 35. Now, as each year goes on, these will all be reevaluated to figure out exactly what's needed, where it fits, how the last hires have improved proceeding with getting projects done. So again, it will be reevaluated as IT departments every year before requesting new ones. The plan to get projects completed in a timely manner over the next 2 years, and that's based off of IT staff gather as much information as possible from the departments upon their initial request. But they're using a software to try and get the information up front, figure out where it belongs. Is it a task? Is it a medium level project, a high level project, or a project that's for the county as a whole? So they're looking at it a number of different ways to be able to figure it out. And then they're hoping within a year that when somebody brings forward a project, they'll be able to give them a timetable on when it'll actually be finished. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. I know everybody's been frustrated with it, but we're heading in the right direction.
We are.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Delight. Or Potter.
Thank you, Mr.
No,
Chair.
I'm Commissioner Delight. That's Commissioner Potter.
For the IT department, Tagaro and his staff and the committee, this is what I was hoping to do, get a company like Infotech in here to help see what we have and what we need. It's like a Coordinator Kelly. You just got downgraded again. Coordinator Kelly said it was a very comprehensive, in-depth conversation, which is exactly what this county needed to see where we need to go from here and how do we going to get this thing solved. The IT department, like I say, when Adam was hired on, the idea was it's a department that needs some help, do something about it, and get us a game plan. And he's delivered a game plan, and he's had a lot of help with the committee and all that, but hats off to him and his staff for engaging in this and wanting to get this fixed.
We needed a plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that, Adam and the IT department, they've got the mapping in place at this point to be able to get that time schedule, and I think that time schedule is what's going to be key to the departments to be able to design and plan for the future, and that's right now where we're struggling right now because they're not quite sure, do we put staff in, or am I going to have the technology? And this, at least I think Adam feels like he's on the track to be able to get that accomplished, so.
Yeah, the next biggest problem will be getting people to work for the county and the IT department, since we're competing with everybody that uses technology. It's been very difficult to get employees because they can go into the public sector, private sector, I should say, for a corporation and make a lot more.
Well, I think as a board, we're going to have to talk about the 3 R's: recruitment, retention, and retirement. That's the 3 R's right now are one of the biggest things that the public sector is going to face competing with the private sector for employment.
Well, yeah. Yeah, maybe that's the problem, is that we're not selling the county as well as we could be. There are some benefits that are working for the county.
Yeah, security and
Pension.
Pension,
yep,
health insurance,
healthcare.
getting to deal with 5 wonderful commissioners. Okay, 4.5.
Are you looking at me again?
No, I was looking at Charlie this time. Anyway, I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
Second them.
And with the recommendations?
There's none.
With the well, there were no recommendations, it was just information.
Okay.
On that.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Delight, and who seconded?
Myself.
Commissioner Vetch. Okay. Discussion further? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Unless you have something else coming from the board, or we have updates first, I guess. Advisory board updates. Mike, you want to go again?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll
You
just,
always start.
yeah.
Well,
just
you can
it's-
if you want.
This one's going to be real quick, Mr. Chair. There was nothing last week, but yesterday, the executive committee met. We're just trying to nail down some different designs and that. We've had lively discussion about
owners.
the owners committee on that, court, and lively discussion on the woods and the different things and some layouts and where things are going to go. And keep in mind that that comes before the board on Tuesday the 15th, committee of the whole. So you're going to get the update on the presentation there. Nothing earth-shattering more than you've already heard. It's just a matter of nailing down a few things and then proceeding. I did meet with Coordinator Kelly and Bob Hevelo with Bruce Kimmel yesterday to discuss some strategies, what's going forward. So I anticipate somewhere in the future, we're going to have a meeting with Bruce Kimmel from Ehlers and discuss our options and how we want to handle this, so everybody's gets the same word out of here. But that was it for me, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Meyer.
Mike, what time is that? I don't have that on my calendar.
I believe it's,
Owners Committee of the Whole?
I think it's
Mr. Chair,
12 o'clock.
And Commissioners, you'll see that item on next Tuesday's board
Okay.
to set it.
Okay, got
That
it.
was a recent move in
Okay.
schedule by BKV, so we have to update our schedules. So
Monday for some
you'll see that on next Tuesday's agenda.
Was that a change of date, or was it a?
They'd originally looked at the 14th of August, but that didn't land due
Okay.
to some conflicts, so it was moved to, proposed for 10:30 on the 15th.
Okay, so we'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have anything, Commissioner?
Well, Commissioner Vetch and I were part of the nuclear exercise for our biennial plans and drills. And so that, it went well, and here in Wright County, it was my first time in the Wright County EOC for that. And one thing that came up that we'll need to look at in 2 years is that if an event would go on for longer than 12 hours, if you've got a team, then you send one of the team home and they will come back in 12 hours to do a 12-hour shift. So what we need to think about is to have a shadow with us next time. So, because that's what came up about halfway through the the drill, is that it's exercise, sorry, that, okay, if there's two of you, you need to send one home, and, they'll have to come back in 12 hours to relieve you, so that's something that we should plan for, because, we're so far you can't stand there, you can't be there for 24 hours.
Or you just put Steve Berg in there and he
He's the
stays
PIO.
awake day and night for 3
Right,
days.
yeah. Because, he
That's
does
what
have.
he did with the gas outage.
Well,
He was
pretty
there
much,
he was there day and night. I don't know how he
I don't know how he
does
does it either, but, so anyway, but,
I think it's an important process that for more than just two of us, because since it takes
Right.
two people involved to understand the process and what goes into it.
definitely.
So-
Yeah, and you walk into something and it's completely, everything's foreign. It's not, an emergency is not a good time to be thrown into that position. So it's good to have some training ahead of time and.
I agree. It wouldn't
yeah.
hurt the whole board to have at least
Yeah.
an indoctrination of what the process is.
Definitely. So, and otherwise, I think you're going to be talking a little bit about the fair too. But I really appreciated the senior day and the military day. I mean, that was, the programs were just excellent, and that speaker that gave so much history, the general of people that were involved in Wright County, and it was very
What is it? We
touching.
had 3 Medal of Honor winners from Wright County.
We did, and there's only, I think there was 57 in the state of Minnesota over all these years, and Ed probably remembers that better because he was taking notes.
You're going to write an article about it, or?
So,
No, I've done that up before.
Oh, okay. Okay.
oh, yeah, Oh, okay, yeah, I unfortunately was out of town, so I always enjoy the memorial service, but.
But it was
so-
pretty interesting. The one guy, especially, I think it was from South Haven, that got the Medal of Honor. I mean,
Oh, my
women
goodness.
single-handedly destroyed like
Just-
6
yeah.
machine gun bunks. I mean, he just working
He
behind the
just- he
lines,
kept
dropping,
working.
punch a hole and drop a grenade in. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he was brave, he was
pretty,
really brave.
pretty heroic. They said he saved just hundreds and hundreds of lives.
Oh,
so.
yeah, so, and then I would just,
A few, too.
this isn't an advisory, but the Buffalo Area Dementia Friends are going to have a Council on Aging, or, excuse me, they're going to have staff members from the Central Minnesota Council on Aging for refreshments and informal conversations about the resources that can assist people in their planning. So it's basically coffee and conversation. Has dementia touched your life, and are you unsure where to turn? So that's going to be on August 23rd, 2017, from 9:30 to 11 o'clock at Zion Lutheran Church. So just to let people know about that.
Okay, thank you. And then, like I started the meeting off about
Yeah.
the Wright County Fair. Spent just every day up there, not the whole day, but I was up every day. And it was a great fair, beautiful weather.
Beautiful
I could
weather.
hardly order anything better. Attendance last year was, if you remember, was a record attendance, and we were off just slightly, I think about 900 people. So we're going to have somewhere over 60,000 attendees this year. So I think overall, very good fair. So, all right, Commissioner Delyden.
Yeah, I was at the fair on Saturday working with the Water Task Force in the Soil and Water booth. We did some analysis of people's well water for nitrates. Everybody's that brought them in were all on the very low end, so that was
Okay,
a good thing. We just talked a lot with people about the AIS issues. Explain why we're doing what we're doing up in Annandale with those 3 lakes to try and control the spread of AIS. You know, everybody would think, well, you should just do it at the lake, but we can't afford to do it at every lake.
Right.
So this is a way of doing it. You know, if people would follow through and do what they're supposed to do with their boats, we wouldn't have to deal with this, and we wouldn't be having the issues we have. And anybody that gets the Minneapolis Star and Trib, there was an excellent article in there on AIS, the dangers, a little bit of history, like on the zebra mussels. There's some places they actually have to use plows to remove the beaches, to clean the beaches, because that stuff will just shred your feet to smithereens with the zebra mussels. So it was a really good article, and then it continues yesterday, today, and I believe tomorrow will be the last of the days. But they talked about all the different ones. And regarding the AIS stuff, on Saturday of this week, anybody interested, at Ney Park, they are going to have what's called Starry Trek, and they're going to be looking at a number of different lakes for starry stonewort. Starry stonewort leaves a lake almost unusable, and so anybody that doesn't believe that, just Google Lake Cronus and watch the video, and you'll believe on how bad that stuff is too. At least it doesn't shred your feet, it just doesn't allow you to run your boat through it anymore.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
And the ordinance that we passed was in really support of what's already in statute, state statute, about people are required to, they're supposed to clean their boats when they leave a lake, and actually before they even leave the area, but.
Well, clean their boats and drain them.
Yep, leave the drain. So that's something that hopefully people will become more and more aware of, checking their boats when they leave a lake and before they go, even if they're not specifically a monitor at a lake, and to check your boats, but people should just be doing that on their own. It's required of us.
And Mr. Chair,
Mr. Potter?
and piggybacking off what Commissioner Delight, he said he was at the Soil and Water, there's 2 sightings of a fossil there, 2 different days. Kerry Saxton was there.
Oh, it was.
I went up, I go, like, old fossil. He said, you know, and he was still enjoying it. And a lot of good information, a lot of people went through that, and we're getting more information on not only Starry Stonewort, but everything else there, which it was good to see people actually are asking questions.
Yep. Yep. And that's why with the Star Trib, you know, getting that information out and the histories and good, bad, and the ugly about it.
All steps in the right direction.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be an easy thing. We also talked about not just the water AIS, but also those other ones that are out in the real county ditches alongside the roads.
Parsnips.
Wild parsnips. Wild parsnips, and the damage that can do to people and
Yep.
stuff. So, telling kids, don't go pick those yellow flowers.
Don't spread them.
Okay. Anything else, Mayor?
We got a Bertram Parks meeting on Friday. Other than that, I do have one thing, and it's not regarding anything, but it's regarding the 22nd. We have no board meeting on the 22nd.
Correct.
Right.
Because some people are gonna, I guess, go different parts of the country
Yep.
to see the best place for
Total eclipse of
total
the sun.
eclipse of the sun.
Yep.
And you won't be singing that song though, right?
I don't, I'll let Carly Simon do that.
Anyway, and if I remember, since a couple of them are gonna be gone, that's also a committee day, correct?
The 23rd would be your usual committee date. I had planned to discuss this next week too, but we had talked casually about moving it back a week.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it up to the whole board here, but.
Yep, and that
Okay.
date was also looked at for budget session, so trying to get that schedule also finalized, so.
Yep.
But plan that for next Tuesday, we'll discuss moving committee
Good.
day.
Okay, because you're gonna be gone quite a few days, right, that whole week?
Well, no, I'll be back probably, you know, the next day, you know.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Southern Illinois.
Oh, okay. Because I know they were saying that some of the rural areas that people are gonna be going to, I know they were talking about out west, that there were
Oh,
small
Oregon, yeah.
towns that
I know,
plan on being stuck there an extra day because those roads aren't designed for the amount of traffic they're
You
gonna
might get in, but you won't get out
I
again.
can't believe some people are going to like to the Grand Tetons, you know, and
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that.
Mr. Chair, you're not going to the town of Marion, are you? Check in?
No.
Okay.
And our plan is to go to Southern Illinois, but I mean, we're gonna spend the night before in Iowa, actually in Missouri, and then we can either go west or east, depends on the weather, because, you know, you
I
want
guess
to.
Kansas is going to be a good spot too.
Yeah, depends on the weather, though, that's what
Yeah.
it's all about.
Just make sure you got good sunglasses.
Well, you won't need them after. Okay, Commissioner Vetch.
Between all 4 of you, you've collectively covered all the things that I was at, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you make it to the fair?
I did make it to the fair.
Did you?
My
I
kids
did.
had fun. They pedaled their hearts out to try and pull the pedal pole. Yeah.
Tractors?
I did want to mention that everyone on the board was at the fair at least one day, so that was nice to see your contribution toward the fair too, and I know they'll appreciate that, so.
Well, and then there was a lot of, county programs there. Oh, public health was
sure.
there, the mental
Yeah.
health were there.
Highway
Veterans.
Department.
Yeah, the highway, I seen them out there
Oh, the kids love that.
redoing the tractor pull,
Yeah.
smoothing down the pathway for the tractor
Oh,
pull.
they did that? Oh.
They must, well,
Okay.
I don't know if they're driving the tractors, but I seen the Wright County weight, or that packing machine.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, with the, Mr. Pickert with the vet service, they had the outreach coordinator, they had a lot of the horses from the VA there, and his, we go talk to him, it was quite a few veterans actually made appointments, went there and talked to him, so it was very successful on the veterans end for letting them know what's going on, and very happy with that, because I was checking in with him every day on how we're doing. And for him to get all the big horses from the state out there, just telling all the veterans, these people are here now, this is the best day to talk to them.
That's great. Well, especially when they had that veterans program out there. It was a good time to have them out there.
Sean, did you have anything else, or?
No.
Oh, okay, I just see.
Down for my personnel committee.
Okay, no.
Ray told me you already did those.
Okay, got it. All right, seeing no other business, we'll adjourn, and I want to remind the board, we do have a 10:30 meeting this morning for a committee of the whole. So we are adjourned at 10 o'clock.